Guys, it's the Maverick again. I want to start out by saying that yes, it was a great movie. It was perfect. I think that it is the best superhero movie I've ever seen in my life, and the best MCU movie I've seen so far. I want to tell you that the Captain America versus Spider-Man versus Black Panther fights were savage. I loved them. You know, those are the fights I went in there to see. Because I had read about it in the comic books many times before, and one of my favorite fights between the both of them is I think it was an Amazing Spider-Man Civil War, where they fought in an alleyway. Spider-Man was having a hard time with Captain America because he was trying to fight him man to man, you know, human to human, and he realized that in all their fights, he never thought about fighting him, you know, with his superpowers, you know, as a spider. So, you know, even though they gave that scene to Iron Man in the movie, you know, where Friday suggested that, you know, he fight with his technology or whatever, but they took that right from the comic book. But yeah, that fight between Spider-Man and Captain America in Amazing Spider-Man Civil War was just awesome. It was amazing, and there was also a really cool speech that Captain America had given Spider-Man on a rooftop somewhere in New York. That's after Spider-Man realized that he was on the wrong side. Again, a scene which was given to Black Panther and Black Widow in the movie. A lot of surprises, you know, from Ant-Man becoming Giant Man, which was, whew, and you know, Spider-Man's aunt being in the movie, which I think she's really hot. It was, oh my goodness, it was a dream come true for a Marvel fan, someone like me who's been reading comic books since I was a kid, and I've always wanted to see all of those things, and in real life, you know, come to life in film, on the big screen, and you know, Marvel gave me what I wanted. You know, Iron Man versus, you know, finding out that the Winter Soldier was responsible for the deaths of Tony Stark's parents, and that Howard Stark, yeah, you know, died at the hands of the Winter Soldier. That was a shocker. That was a surprise, man. And you know, having Iron Man see that with his own eyes, standing right next to in between Captain America and the Winter Soldier, man, that was very tense. And I was like asking myself, you know, like what's going to happen now? I mean, is Tony Stark going to become like this vengeful monster that, you know, even though his intent was to help them both out, Iron Man totally trying to rip the Winter Soldier's throat out. So I was just like, wow, throughout the whole film, you know, just wow. You know, Peggy Carter dying in the film, you know, her death and all that, that was really, you know, that touches the soul, you know. You know, I had a little bit of a tear coming down or something like that, you know. Don't tell anybody. Always a pleasure to see the Scarlet Witch. She is beautiful. And the Scarlet Witch in her costume looked amazing, you know. See, people asked me if I was going to take a side or not, and I said that I wasn't because I somehow knew that they were both going to be right. You know, philosophically, I could understand, you know, where Captain America stood. You know, I know what he meant. He didn't want to be under, you know, government control and having someone to make, you know, what they think were moral choices for him. You know, and I know that Tony Stark felt really bad about what happened, and you know, it didn't help, you know, that the kid's mom kind of like, you know, approached him, you know, just made him feel all kinds of worse. In the beginning of the film, I was kind of leaning towards Tony. You know, I do believe that you have to sort of answer to someone. You know, you do have to answer to somebody, you know, at some point, you know, and, you know, you just can't go around doing whatever you want, you know, whenever you feel like it, without some sort of license to do, you know, what you think is right. Captain America understood that a lot of the people that Bucky had killed in his life, you know, a lot of those deaths, they weren't done on purpose. I mean, he was brainwashed by Hydra and the Russians, and you know, so you know, the deaths of Tony's parents, you know, they were not his fault. So, and Cap knew that, you know, he understood, so he protected him, you know, and so. You know, I was on both sides throughout this film. I didn't take any sides because they were both right philosophically, and, you know, Yeah, I would, I'm a huge Captain America fan, by the way. I'm a diehard crazy fan. Captain America is, at the top of the list as one of my favorite superheroes of all time. But I kind of like, agreed with Tony a little bit more than I did with Cap, even though I understood where Cap was coming from. So that's where I was kind of leaning. I didn't choose a side. I was standing in line at the movie theater before going into the private screening room, and I remember some guy asked me, so whose side are you on? And also one of my friends and her daughter asked me, so whose side are you on? And she was a Captain America fan, not realizing that I'm a huge Captain America fan. But when I said I'm not taking any sides, she points to her shirt that has a shield logo on it, and she's like, well, this over here is a Captain America space. You can't be standing here, so back away. And I'm like, no, you don't know. You have no idea. You honestly don't know. So I thought that was great. But anyway, I enjoyed the movie. It was great. So, I can't wait to see what happens in Avengers. I believe it's called Infinity War. And I'm going to have a lot to say about that. I read the hell out of those books, and, in that story, Thanos really creeped me out. I believe the story came out back in the 90s. And that fight, the battle that took place, against Thanos, all the gathering of all the Earth's heroes and villains, and the way that Thanos I'm not going to say anything in case you haven't read the book. I don't want to spoil it, and I don't want to spoil what, the upcoming movie. So, I just wanted to share my feelings about the movie and my thoughts on it. And for those of you who haven't seen it, go see it. This movie is worth watching. Love you guys. Maverick out.